thank you for coming out to attend the event tonight. I've never done a talk before, so I'm nervous, my hands are sweating, shaking, but we're going to get through it. It's been a dream for me to come here and do this and speak to people like yourself who actually understand what I'm talking about. Everywhere I go, people think I'm crazy talking this type of stuff, but come to Glastonbury, it's the home of it, it's the home of light, home of energy. So Da Vinci's coding, people's obviously, you know, Dan Brown's version of Da Vinci's code. With that, throw it out the window. It does not exist. Dan Brown's version of the Da Vinci Code does not exist at all. There's no Christ line, there's no bloodline. It is based on energy solely. So recently I went to Rosslyn Chapel, done a lot of work at Rosslyn, and they've given me full backing for Da Vinci's Code. They agree with it 100%, ready to back me with it. They want the truth out there finally. They're fed up with people coming in with Dan Brown's reasoning of what the Da Vinci Code actually should be, when it should not be anything like that. So, Da Vinci's Code started in 2019, just before the lockdown. Some of you might remember the Notre Dame fire. It was a very big one, very important one. The entire spire was brought down. So spires on cathedrals, particularly important, because the spire is the spiral. So, which you'll know, obviously the Ukrainians and the spiral of energy. So that is the vortex. So the Notre Dame fire started on Leonardo da Vinci's birthday, April 15th. There's been many events throughout history that started on that date. You've got Hillsborough, remember the 96 Liverpool fans. Again, the 96 energy, 6-9. So keep that in mind with Da Vinci. It's all about the energy. It's all about yin and yang. The next one was a big one, which everybody in this room will be aware of, was the Titanic. Went down on April 15th, on Da Vinci's birthday. So of course later on they released the Titanic movie with Leonardo DiCaprio as the lead, just to rub it in a little bit. So the Titanic, again, was registered in the port of Liverpool. So Liverpool's my home city, obviously. Got a passion for Liverpool. It's been targeted a lot, right the way throughout this entire period of time. A lot of you probably won't be into your football. I'm not myself anymore since the beginning of my journey. I'm not really into that side of things. But Liverpool won the league 2019-2020 season. They were crowned. You will know the Corona started then. So following on from Leonardo da Vinci's birthday in 2019, they went ahead then and we ended up on the 31st of December and COVID was announced. At the exact same time, the solar cycle 25 started, which is the true corona, really. It's the coronal mass ejections. And another thing that it was completely related to, which you all remember, was the NHS put rainbows in everybody's window. So it was the spectrum of light. At the same time, they were attacking the crown. So the spectrum of light is absolutely key to everything that we're about to go through today. Obviously, the divine light codes. So my journey started really in 2020. Literally on lockdown. We were shut down March 22nd. Now you might be wondering why there's a comment on the screen. What's that got to do with absolutely anything? So just to say how it is, straight down the line, I was arrested over this comment. So just before lockdown started, probably around January, the end of January, beginning of February, I looked up at the sky and seen a star in the sky that was brighter than anything I've ever seen in my life. It was standing up next to the moon. So when I went home to check what this was, it was this comet. So I kept my eyes on this comet right the way through for the next month, focused on it, looking at the light. And the centre of my head started throbbing, pulsing. It's doing it right now while I'm speaking to you. It's not stopped since. At that time I wasn't really what you'd say, I don't really like to use the term, but awake, or the awakening period, completely was not what I was into at that time. So that was the moment I was woken up for whatever reason. I didn't know at the time. I do know because I'm standing here in front of you, doing something I never thought I would be doing. But what I did say about this comet is that something would happen. Now, this comet was on a path. It was coming very, very close to Earth, close enough where it was something to consider at the time of why we were being shut down. We've never been shut down. We've never shut the world down like they did in 2020, not ever. So I was focused on this comet, and as you'll see on March 22nd, 2020, the comet started to disintegrate. Now that was the exact date that I was talking about. The comet, something would happen on that date. So this comet took 6,000 years to get here. And on the date that I said something would happen, it did. And on that exact date, I was also arrested by the police. I was told to keep my mouth shut, basically. It was a deep story involving my family. So I don't speak to any of my family now. I've lost all my family, lost all my friends, lost my income. It stripped me bare of everything I ever knew in my life. But it was meant to happen, and I'm glad it did. I was blessed that that did happen. So there's a number here, 1844. So remember them digits, remember the 481 digits, because they're going to be really important, they're going to be key for this entire thing. So obviously from there then, we started to lock us down, and the lockdown actually came into effect on March 22nd, 2020. The exact date they shut us down, so you can't go anywhere else, you can't live your life. And so we had the lockdown on that date, I was arrested on that date, and the comets fragmented on that date. So them synchronicities are very key to the beginning of my journey. From there, it was something that was telling me that Da Vinci's Code had started. I felt like I knew that Da Vinci's Code had started. There was intuition, it was kicking in big time. I could feel, it felt like my granddad was with me, my granddad Arthur. I could feel him, I could nearly, so close that I could feel like I could nearly touch him. So with COVID, if you notice with COVID, it's actually an anagram of DV code. So Da Vinci Code, it's a direct anagram. Now the March 22nd date in 2020, when they shut us down, it was a very important place that became the epicenter, and it was Lombardy in Italy, where Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper is. So that was the start of their code for me personally. You can make your own mind up, you don't have to make your mind up at the end of this. So from there, I started to have a break from it. My family and friends all said, he's crazy, he's lost it. He's never done anything like this in his life. He's never been into this kind of knowledge, this esoteric, you know, people making claims about Leonardo da Vinci who does that kind of thing. He makes a claim that he cracked his coding. So yeah, so from there, I started to chill out, and then from about May, I started to really dig in, started to really research, and I started to move forward then, and everything started to fit into place. So I've got a kind of a flow on my chart here that I can just refer to. So in 2019, it was actually the Templars, the Knights Templar 900-year anniversary, and it was Leonardo da Vinci's 500-year anniversary as well. Both intricately linked. Leonardo da Vinci was a grandmaster. That really goes without saying. He had knowledge that he had no right of really knowing. Sorry, I just need to get a drink. So he was definitely a grandmaster of one of the fraternities. So he held knowledge that nobody else really did. So just skip. You have to bear with me while I go into certain things, if that's okay. So Mona Lisa is Da Vinci's main painting that he's coded everything in. Da Vinci's Code is creation at its purest form. It is nature, and it comes from the fractal expansion of the Big Bang. So what he's coded with the Mona Lisa, he's coded her as the mother, the sacred feminine. She is the matrix. That is what mother is. She is the material. She's the mater. She is the matrix. She is the matrix set up for this reality. So what they know is Mona Lisa's coding literally runs this reality, runs everything around it. Now Sam put me in touch with something last night that I've never heard of. This person was Dion Fortune. I'm sure most of you know Dion in this room. So I've never heard of Dion before in my life. So Sam sent me some information about Dion and started going through it. And Sam could tell you yourself, Dion's coding is exactly the same as Leonardo da Vinci's coding. And this is because he has coded the reality. He's coded the design of it, the construct, the architecture, and he's taken us back to the source of everything, and I mean everything that you can imagine. Now the construct of it is based on light. I mean, you know, Dion Fortune was the inner light before she started, and now we're here with the inner light group. So I just want to go on to something that's called the monad, which some of you might be aware of. This is the beginning of creation in many ways. and it's this simple circle and a dot. So that is the centre point. That is Mona. It's Mona. She's the start of creation. So from this point, you'd have the one circle that would then move through the creation process and move to the Vesica Pisces, something which is of course the chalice well. Now one thing that they've done in Glastonbury, which I've noticed everywhere I go, is they have the Vesica Pisces coming down, and it shouldn't be that way. Vesica Pisces should go across, two circles forming that way. Because what it represents is the sun and moon. So with them inverting everything else in this reality to try and confuse us and keep us off the topic, keep us off the path of finding the truth. That's something major that is in Glastonbury. It shouldn't be that way. It should be turned on its side. What the Vesica Pisces does when it comes together, it creates that oval, the lens, the window of light. And that window of light is Mona. It's the metaphysical. It's how she changes it. It's how she manifests in this reality. So the Mona Lisa was created in 1503. Now that's one of the ratios for the Vesica Pisces. That's what Da Vinci's coding. So the Vesica Pisces ratio is 153 and 265. And when you put them together, you get the numbers that I mentioned at the beginning of Atlas equals 418. So that 418 coding is the basis of everything in this construct. What it is a Christ code. Now it's a Christ code that is directly linked to Glastonbury. Now this Christ coding is pretty much the Holy Grail. So starting from the 26th of December, Glastonbury tour is home to a sunrise that happens at 8:14 AM for 11 days of the year. It's Da Vinci's exact coding. So the Mona Lisa is 77 centimetres times 53 centimetres equals 4081. Pyramid of Giza is 481 feet in height. Christos in gematria equals 1480. He's literally coded Christ, and it flows to Glastonbury. And there's a reason for it, which you will all probably know, is the dragon lines. So these dragon lines basically are Jesus and Lucifer. This is the polarity story that the church has put out to try and keep people indoctrinated, basically. I'm sorry if there's anybody that's religious in this room. I'd like to think of it as more spiritual than anything else, but it is the truth. It is what they've done. So the dragon lines are basically our DNA. It's the dragon lines in Earth. It's what we represent. We mimic Earth. Earth is the 666 and we are the 666. We are carbon-12 with 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. That's all the 666 is. So with the pillars of Kabbalah, the 666 is the pillar of severity. It's the woman, it's the female. You know, women can be very severe when you get on the wrong side of them. So that's what the 666 really is. It's nothing to do with the devil, with Satan or anything else. It doesn't exist in my world. I don't know if it does in yours, but the fear and the negativity, it doesn't enter my world. So they're the dragon lines. Jesus and Lucifer are the polarity. They're the polarity of yin and yang. It's the same thing. So with the yin and yang symbol, which is what Mona represents, that's 6-9. The yin and yang symbol is the dark and the light. It's the same polarity story. And then what we've got running along the ceiling here, we've got a perfect example of it, because they've actually coded the sine wave from the yin and yang symbol that goes through the centre of the yin and yang symbol. It's the sine wave, it's the frequency, it's the grey area. It's the grey area we're all looking for. We're trying to stay centred, we're trying to stay balanced, we're trying to stay harmonised. And that's what they don't want. They don't want that. They want us to stay polarised. They want us to choose between one or the other in everything we do. You just need to base it down to your colour, red and blue. They want you to pick in everything. So this is the beginning of creation. This is Mona, and it's so simple. It's the circle. Now this is why things like pi are so important. It's the symbol of the sun disk. So the sun, a lot of people claim, runs this construct, and I agree with it in some way, it does. But if it didn't have the moon to work with, it wouldn't be anything, it wouldn't exist. So I'll just go on to the Vesica symbol here a minute. Well, actually, it'd probably be better if I show you the Mona Lisa, just so you know where we are with it. So his creation year is 1503. So with Mona, there's all kinds of clues with the Mona Lisa. The main one is her name, is Mona. So from the beginning I thought that was the moon. It was based on the moon. Everything about it was seemed to be the moon. But what she actually is the mountains that we can see in the background of the painting. It's what she represents. So I recently went to the Isle of Man. The Isle of Man is the Isle of Mona. Now it's the only place in Britain at the summer solstice that has the 4:44 AM summer solstice sunrise. And just like the winter solstice, where the sun appears to stop for 3 days, which is Jesus on the cross, basically where he's supposed to have died for 3 days on the cross, and then he returns for Christmas Day. And then from there, we go on to the 8:14 AM sunrise. So most people will say the name is My Lady Lisa. That's the common name for the Mona Lisa. But what Da Vinci's coded, which you probably know the most, one of his most famous symbols is the Vitruvian Man. So what he's trying to show in the Vitruvian Man is that everything is coded in the dimensions, it's in the measurements. Now it doesn't matter what you look at, it can be all the Renaissance art, you can look at cathedrals, churches, castles, everything is coded inside those dimensions, every single thing. And everything is multi-dimensional as well, that's the key. People seem to think that one thing means one thing and that's it, but it's not. Da Vinci is trying to show that everything is connected, everything synchronizes and everything flows into one. So the investigator in the chat tell as well, with that creating the Christ code of light, that is what they're talking about as the Grail, is the light codes. And the light codes are used in Kabbalah as the lightning flash, and it travels through the nodes. Kabbalah, it travels through the tree of life. Now it's how you manifest from the top to the bottom, literally from the crown to the root. That's how it is. You manifest to the earth, basically. So with Kabbalah, you literally have a simple setup of Kabbalah. It's the 666, 777, and 888. So we have the 666, which explains the severity, and then the 777 is the balance, it's the grey area, and the 888 is the pillar of mercy. Now the UK have this set up on a major scale. They have these 3 pillars of Kabbalah set up as pyramid bridges. Now the one pyramid bridge is in Runcorn, where I live, just outside of Liverpool. That was built by a Knight architect. Now Runcorn is a major Templar town over time in history. It's a major Templar town. And that bridge represents the pyramids of Giza. It's literally a replica of it. I'll get it up on the screen for you so you can see. And then we have another one now. The pyramid bridge in Merseyside represents the pillar of mercy. Obviously, Merseyside is what it is. And then we have another bridge, and it's in Scotland, and it's the Edinburgh Queen's Ferry Bridge, which is also another pyramid bridge. You just see now, you can see for yourself how they've designed these pyramid bridges. And they are just replicas really of what the pyramids should be. Now the reason they've created these pyramid bridges is the same reason they've created Giza, basically. It's the as above and so below symbolism. It creates the diamond shape. So Edinburgh Queen's Ferry is the 666, represents the Severe. Merseyside represents the Mersey, the pillar of mercy. And then we've got a central pillar, which is the equilibrium between them. It's the equilibrium of energy. And that sits with Newcastle Gateshead. So I'll put the Gateshead Bridge up for you because it's actually in the shape of an eye. It's like the Eye of Providence. But the real clue of the Gateshead Bridge sits inside the coordinates. And you see the coordinates here, 969069. So that code is absolutely everywhere. Now the reason that is Mona Lisa's coding is what Da Vinci's done, because I personally don't think Mona Lisa's actually existed. She's not been actually an actual person. He's used it as a complete code. So the Mona Lisa, or Mona Lisa Gherardini, Lisa Gherardini, she comes from the Gherardini family, and she's born on the 166th day of the year, 199 days remaining. So that is your 166199, which is 69 again. Your death date is July 15th, which is the 196th day of the year, with 169 days remaining. So, as I mentioned earlier, with the Titanic was 269 metres. Or Hillsborough, we had 96 Liverpool fans that were killed on the day. Or more recently, we've just had the Queen dying, age 96 years old. Westminster Abbey, 69 metres. Big Ben, 96 metres tall. It was completely cold, pure energy. So you might remember with the Queen's Jubilee, a few months before she passed, she lit up the Tree of Life. And when she pressed that button on the Tree of Life, the dragon lines lit up, going right along the floor. So what they were getting ready for was an alignment, a very particular alignment that I've also been waiting for since 2020. Not many people thought it would happen, but I thought it would. And it was the spine of Albion, something that most of you in this room will be aware of. It's a very important alignment. Now, the spine of Albion has just started to align now over Great Britain, and it started to align in a place called Swanage. So if you know the spine of Albion, you'll know we use the swan symbolism. So what's just aligned now is the true magnetic north, great north, or the true north, magnetic north, and the great north. All three have just centered, coming over to Britain, and it's going to be over. There's now 3.5 years. And this is a time of high energy. It's a time of what they call the tribes of Britain would have known this 2,000 years ago. This is where Jesus' story really sits here in Britain. So the story is based on energy, and it's based on those dragon lines. The dragon lines that people claim currently run right the way through the Abbey house, or through Glastonbury Abbey, which I agree with, because some of you might have noticed in the Abbey, you've got an X carved inside the Abbey in the grounds. Now that X symbolism is the symbol for Christ. You know exactly what it is. X marks the spot, basically. So yeah, Mona Lisa represents the 6-9 of yin and yang in every way possible. So I'll just go on to a symbol that you know very well, because this is the next one up from the Vesca. So we move into 3 circles, and it just goes so really simple. It's the story of Genesis, the story of creation is them 7 circles that create the flower of life. That is the story, so we're just going through the story basically of creation. Now the first point was the monad, that was the very first point of it. I'm not that good on computers either, by the way, so that's really bad at tech. So this symbol, one of the most important symbols that we can have. It's the symbol of light, is what it is. It's the Holy Trinity. Now the reason Holy Trinity is light is because of the RGB coding, red, green and blue. The RGB coding creates every colour in this construct. There's 16,777,216 different colours, and we get them from the RGB. So the RGB is created of 256 shades for red, green and blue. 256 times 256 times 256 equals 16,777,216. Whereas Mona's coding equals 199,661,777,028. So I have to break that number down for you because I don't even know what that is. It's such a big number. But what that comes from, it comes from the speed of light times by 666. So you know the speed of light is coded at Giza, and the reason they've coded that is because of the rainbow. Now some of you might have seen the signs around town a little bit and know a little bit of what it's already about. So the pyramids of Giza is constructed so it can perceive a rainbow. But what a lot of people are making a mistake of is they're saying it's to perceive a single rainbow, and it's not. A single rainbow is perceived at 42 degrees, whereas a double rainbow is perceived at 51.84 degrees, which, as you'll know, are the exact coordinates for Glastonbury. So why would they code that? Why would they code the exact coordinates as the angle of inclination for Giza? And it is literally all based on light. Now, you big clue to that would be Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon album cover, and you know the pyramid symbolism with the rainbow coming over. Pink Floyd have have left a clue to what it actually is all about. Floyd in Welsh means grey, and as I said with the yin and yang symbol, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that grey area. So Pink Floyd have coded grey light, and that's exactly what the divine light codes are. So most people know angel numbers as 111, 222, 333. When you see these synchronized signs and you think your angels are talking to you, they actually are talking to you, but what they're talking to you through is light. They're talking to you through the hex codes, is what they're known as. So these hex codes are important. The grey divine light are the hex codes that run from 111 to 999, and it's the number 111, which is the Christ light coding. Now this is the one that's coded everywhere. It's the reason Giza is 481 feet. It's the reason the Mona Lisa equals 4,091. Now 4081 has a sum of divisors that equals 5,184. So there's nobody that could ever deny that Da Vinci coded Giza. So when you look at the Last Supper and you look into his dimensions, the Last Supper is 8.8 meters times 4.6 meters. Now what Da Vinci's coded with that is the 864,000 diameter of the sun. He's trying to show us that Jesus is the sun. He's trying to show us that the 12 disciples of the Zodiac. Now this is something people have claimed for a long time. What they haven't got is the numbers to actually back them up. And the numbers have been staring us in the face for this entire time, and people haven't picked up on it yet. Now he's got more signals inside the Last Supper, and one of the major ones is the 36 squares on the ceiling. So if we get the image of the Last Supper up, a lot of people have done a lot of work on the Last Supper over time. People say the solfeggio frequencies are coded in there as well, which I do agree, because they're also coded at places like Rosslyn, the solfeggio frequencies, and with everything being based on the sun, it's pretty easy to find what they're getting at. Hopefully the image loads. No, it doesn't look like it is. But the Last Supper, it has 36 squares on the ceiling. And what he's showing there is the magic square of the sun. The magic square of the sun is produced by the numbers 36, 111 and 666. Now the sun obviously has been worshipped for thousands of years. There's totally revised, recycled stories of the sun god, which mainly falls down to Ra. So you know it's all about Ra is because it's coded in absolutely everything. From the beginning of Hinduism, of Brahma, so when you break down the words, you start to see the Ra being produced. So the most important one for us is our aura, which is an AU and Ra. AU is the symbol for gold. It's your energy, your inner gold. And that's what we're trying to break down for us. Same with the aurora. And the aurora are the coronal mass ejections that we've been getting hit with since 2019. And they are what's really, really raising the energy levels. It's the coronal mass ejections. And they know that what brings us to our crown. It's what rises the phoenix. But our job is to, obviously, to kill the dragons. We've got to slay the dragons within. It's part of your ego battle. And this is what a lot of people struggle on, and why they can't find the information to go forward. It's because they refuse to accept anything that goes against their ideas. So with the Last Supper, he hasn't just coded the sun, he's fully coded it in every way that you could probably think of. Now I'll just try and find it wherever I am here. So he's got the sun's diameter coded, but 8.8 meters plus 4.6 meters also equals 13.4. So he's also coded pi. Pi 314 is coded, which is symbol of the sun disk. So he is definitely 100% he's showing Jesus as the sun. That's without a doubt. The next number that is in there is the 181 inches by 346 inches equals 62,626. The reason he's coded that is because God's number is 26 in gematria, which is the practice of translating letters into the numerical coding. Now this has been used since the days of Babylon. Now that's really what we're up against. We're up against an empire that has never fallen. So they've gone on from the days of Babylon, from the very beginning. And Chaldean gematria is one of the most important gematrias that we can use. But English ordinal is simple, where A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, and so on. It's just the alphabet. So what he's trying to show is this construct that was created by a God, by a sun God. But because we live in a solar system, it makes perfect sense that we are a system. It's systematic. It is what it is. It's a matrix. So when these numbers are appearing to us, what's happening is it's an algorithm that's flown out. It's really like a computer system. It's exactly how a computer works. These numbers flow out, and they synchronize for us. And it's our life pattern. Now the key with gematria is the fact that it's based on geometry. And that is the basis of everything in this construct, is mathematics and geometry. They're at the very beginning of everything. Now there's an awful lot of people since 2019 who have gone through this awakening period, where I'm presuming with you being in Glastonbury, most of you are already quite awake anyway, quite aware of everything that's going on. So with the Last Supper, like I said, in 2019 when they shut us down, we went on then, and Lombardy became the epicenter for COVID. And as I said, it's a direct anagram of DD-CO. So his coding isn't just the only one that is coded as the sun. So I wanted to use this just to back it up, because people could think it's just a coincidence that he's coded the sun's diameter, and it's far, far from a coincidence. So the most basic one that I use is Edvard Munch. Now his painting is literally called The Sun, so there's no way of them escaping this one. It just is what it is. I suppose the best put in Edvard Munch on there. Somebody could be doing this for me, you know. There it is, right. It's pretty clear what he's trying to show, isn't it? So Edvard Munch coded it absolutely perfectly. So I'll just have to sit down for 1 second while I go through these. So what he's coded as the sun, it's 179.1 inches times 307.1 inches. Now when you add them together, it equals 486.2. He's coded the exact same numbers that Da Vinci's coded for the Last Supper. It's the 864,000 diameters of the sun. But that number is also used as the 6480 degrees of the dodecahedron, fifth element, ether. Now our DNA stranding is shaped in a dodecahedron shape. That is how it's produced. So when these coronal mass ejections are coming in, it is literally lighting our DNA basically. It's activating it. So we have a lot of new age terms coming in. People will say it's new age, but I don't find a lot of it to be new age. I find a lot of it is ancient knowledge that we've lost connection with. So to us it's new, but it's really not new. It really isn't. But what Munch has done with this is the 307.1 inches. He's been very clever, and he's coded the number 137, which is the 33rd prime number. So the number 33 has been very important to me from the very beginning. That was when I was arrested, was age 33. That's when everything started for me. So what most people might know is that is Jesus' age. That's what they say. Jesus died age 33 in 33 AD on April 3rd. So the key to that is the sun, as always. So when you look at April the 3rd, it's the 93rd day of the year, and the sun is said to be 93 million miles away. So it's all just a story based on the sun. Now the 33 with Jesus is what it comes down to. It's the same reason I was arrested over Atlas. Now Atlas is our 33rd bone in our spine, and that's the one you've got to get past to reach the crown. And once you get past the Atlas bone, you rise the phoenix, you reach enlightenment, whatever else you want to call it. Something I had no idea about what was happening to me at the time. I just knew a lot of information was coming through. Didn't really know what to do with it. I had too much information to even handle. So for me it was a bit of a breakdown. But with the 137, it's the 33rd prime number, but it's also the golden angle of light. Now that, as I said, light is key to absolutely everything in this construct. So Munch has done well to code that. But with the 486.2, he's not just showing the diameter of the sun, 486 times 2 equals 972. Now 7920 is the diameter of Earth. And the Egyptians done similar with Giza. They were showing the precession, they were showing Earth's diameter, they were showing the sun's diameter, the moon. Now Giza is the same as all other pyramid sites around the world. It's a pyramid of the sun, it's a pyramid of the moon. And you've got the equilibrium pyramid. That's all it is. Now the Bible story is exactly the same. You have Jesus, you have Thomas the twin, and then you have St. James. St. James supposedly had died in 69 AD. So he's the little brother of Jesus and Thomas. Jesus, of course, was related to the spring equinox, Pisces. And then Thomas the Apostle, Thomas the twin, he died on December 21st in 72 AD. So what they're getting at with that is the sun's movement in the precession. It moves 1 degree every 72 years. And that's exactly what they're coding. And it's exactly what the Egyptians have coded as well. So with Giza, it's 440 cubits by 280 cubits. That equals 720. Coded as 72 again. But what they're actually showing is one of the platonic solids and the element of fire, the tetrahedron. So that is literally what Giza is shaped to be. It's the tetrahedron. So the platonic solids are what sum up this construct in simple form. It's your fire, your air, your water, your air, and then your fifth element is your ether, your spirit. Spirit of the sun. And it's the spirit of the sun that is lying on the heads of everyone now. It's why we're all being crowned as we're going along, and we're all getting this information. One thing that it is doing is bringing a lot of people together. It's connecting people, because we are magnetic. It's electromagnetism. So we're connecting now, and we're connecting through love, and that's the one thing that is going to save everything. It is the purity of love. And that is where I started. That's why I started doing what I do. It was to protect my family, it was to protect my daughter, and it was through the purity of love. And that was one thing that stuck with me. It had to be through love. I can't be doing this for money or to make a name for myself. I've got to do it because you've got to love your neighbour, basically, as they tell you to. You're supposed to love everybody for what they are. So it's not just Edvard Munch that's done this. We have other paintings, like the Lamentation of the Christ. That is 27 inches times 32 inches, equals 864. It was also created in 1480. 1480 is Christos, it is the Christ code. And then we have the Transfiguration of the Christ. That's 116 by 154 equals 17,864. And again, 864 is shown. So all these paintings are based around Christ, they're based around the sun, and they're based around that Christ code. Now the Transfiguration of the Christ, again, was 1480 is when it was created. And then we have one which is really obvious. It's called the Yellow Christ. So the Yellow Christ is obviously the shining sun. And the Yellow Christ is 35.9 inches by 28.9 inches, and it equals 64.8. And it's again just in reverse as Da Vinci's shown it. Transfiguration of the Christ is created by someone called Belinus. So that's what's important, is Belinus. Now the Belinus line is basically the spine of Albion. It is what's being lit up again right now, and we're getting hit majorly with the magnetics. So you might have realised in the Last Supper, painting with Jesus wears a red and a blue robe. So what Da Vinci's coded there is the simplicity of it. Da Vinci keeps everything simple. It's not actually that complicated. There's a lot to it, and it's very intricate. But once you recognise the pattern and it all plays out how it does, you start to see exactly what he's showing. So the red and the blue, when you put them together, they create the purple. He's showing Jesus with the crown because he is the Sun King. He's the Son of Man, he is the King. So that's the way he crowns him. So a lot of people with the Last Supper, they claim that he's showing St. John to be Mary. And I don't agree with that, because St. John is far too important to leave out that painting, whereas Mary was never meant to be in it anyway. But what Da Vinci's done is the same as most of the other Renaissance artists have done. He's coding androgyny, he's coding male and female as one. So Jesus is Mary, Jesus is Lucifer, Lucifer is Mary, and so on. It's the male and the female. He's showing them in one. That red and the blue robe together is exactly what he's showing. He's showing the union. Now the union is absolutely crucial to everything, which is why we have U-magnets, U-shaped magnets, horseshoe shapes. With union, you'll notice that the wording is very important as well as ion. Obviously based around the electricity. The Isle of Iona is on some really sacred ground, and this is what it's all about. It's all about the energy. So yeah, so it's not just Da Vinci, it's coded Jesus to be the sun. I think there's, you can walk into most churches and you can see it for yourself anyway. You can see exactly what they're trying to show. So we have trinities in pretty much every culture. In Hinduism, it's the Trinity. It's Brahma, Shiva and Vishnu. So Brahma would represent that 888 in Kabbalah. Vishnu would be the 777, and Shiva is the Severe, it's the 666, which is exactly why Shiva just sat outside Cern in Switzerland. So what they're doing at Cern is breaking open creation. They're breaking open Mona Lisa's coding. So the particle collision at Cern is the speed of light, and they're crashing it in to basically what we're made of, looking for that God particle, which they've most definitely found, because they're really, really putting the pressure on us right now. So they found that God particle without a doubt. So you might remember me saying about Mona Lisa's coding is the speed of light times 666, and it gives 199,661,777,028. And you remember Mona Lisa's born the 166th day, 199 remaining. It's literally her coding. Her birthday is the exact coding. So that's what's saying it up to, you know, that's why Shiva is outside there, because Shiva is the destroyer. What that's going to bring to us, who knows? Who knows what they're up to? You never can really tell with them. But the reason the Trinity is so important is because of Aum, the vibration. So Aum is the start of everything. Now, I'm not very good at my mantras, I'm not very harmonic. I've been going around Glastonbury, I've heard some seriously beautiful mantras that people are playing out. And you can just hear the chest vibrating and things. I wish I could do that and practicing and trying. But with Aum, you'll notice with the Aum symbol, I'll put it up for you just so you can get a clear vision of it. The Aum symbol looks like, it's not going to come up, is it? Aum, it looks like the number 35. 3, 5. So Aum in English ordinal equals 35 as well. Now the pillars of Kabbalah that I mentioned, 666, 777, 888. When you put them together, you do 666 plus 777 plus 888. And these are light codes, and these are the pillars, the 3 pillars that are referenced. And when you times that by 111, which is the Christ light code, you get the numbers 100011. And what that is binary coding. So that binary coding equals 35. It's coded Aum. So the Mona Lisa, 77 times 53, or as Da Vinci did with his codex, read it in reverse. It's 35 plus 77 equals 112. Now that number is so important to the beginning of everything. It's what he's coding. He's coding the fractal expansion from the Aum, the Big Bang. So a lot of people now, you might know yourself with this, or the conspiracies that fly around, and there's a lot of conspiracies. It's not like they're all true or nothing for now. What he's showing with Aum is that it's the beginning of absolutely everything. So from the Big Bang, it's basically a roar. It's a continuous bang. It's not just one bang and then it's done. It's a continuous bang, because that continuous bang is fractal expansion. So fractal expansion is your golden ratio. That's where we come from the center point, and it just keeps going, spiraling upwards. And you just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And with the Aum symbol and with vibration, what he's trying to tell us is that's where we come from. So that's how we heal ourselves, as you already know. It's why people use it. They use it to heal. With Kabbalah, as I said before, what they're doing is manifesting. So they manifest from the crown down to the earth, and it comes from the spirit world. That's exactly what they're trying to manifest. So what I have actually done is left something out of that Aum page, which is completely just messed with and threw me off of what I was going to do. But what I was moving towards anyway was the AU is the God. element, which is related to the sun. So that is the golden sun disk. So the clues to it, as I said, is aura or aurora, and then we have deities in Hinduism, such as Rudra. Now Hinduism, they also have 33 deities. 33 number is important, the same as it is in Freemasonry. You have 33 degrees. What the 33 is about really is the sun. As everything's going to be about the sun really, it's going to be about the sun, it's going to be about light. It's what gives us light, gives us absolutely everything we've ever known. But the 33 is because the sun is 333,000 times the mass of Earth. That's what they're trying to get at, which is why Jesus is age 33 and 33 AD, the 93rd day of the year. Now they use plenty of numbers in the Bible, 33s and 216s. One of the most important ones that they use, the 144. So they say that the Revelation period would be 144,000 who wake up and come to do whatever they're going to do, rest of humanity. I'm not sure what they're supposed to do really in the Bible. But 144 is one of the Platonic solids. It's the element of air. So air and breath is the beginning of everything. God breathes life into people. And as you'll know, that's what we try and focus on when you're doing your mantras and things and you're doing your breathing techniques. Again, something I'm still trying to get into myself. And Platonic solids, we have the element of air, which is the octahedron. So the octahedron is the pyramid shape basically. This is what Giza actually is. So Giza on the top is the tetrahedron, but the diamond shape that it creates is the octahedron. And it has degrees of 1440. We also have 1,444 minutes in a day, 1,440 minutes in a day. And then obviously we have the dodecahedron as well, which is the spirit of the sun. There's the icosahedron, which is the element of water. It's 3,600 degrees. These are the basis. These are the basis of creation. These are the building blocks of life. Is what they're trying to give us. Now there's a number he's coded in the Last Supper as well, which is 181 inches. What he's trying to give us there is the 118 elements on the periodic table. Again, it's the building blocks of everything that we know. So with Jesus and Lucifer, this is what he's shown with the Last Supper. So I'm sorry if this is a bit scattered by the way, and it's a bit all over the place. I was trying to prepare for it, but I thought there's no way I can anyway. Not with this amount of information. So I want to show you gematria, how it works. I'm sure some of you will be familiar with gematria already. So when you put Jesus' gematria in, we end up with these numbers. These numbers are important. The 74 in particular. Now it's not just Jesus that equals 74. These numbers are exactly the same in gematria for Lucifer. So when you put the 74 plus 74, you put Jesus and Lucifer together, you get 148, which is Christos. It's the 1,480 of Greek isoplasy, gematria. And this is what they're showing is energy. Now with gematria, there's a lot of people using it right now and they're using it very poorly because it's supposed to be based on geometry. Everything with it's supposed to be based on geometry. Now the best clue with Jesus and Lucifer is energy. Also equals 74. Also equals 444 and 147. They're all the same numbers. And he's trying to show us the dragon lines again. He's trying to show us the meridian lines within us. And as I said, we mimic the Earth anyway, it's what we mimic. So these dragon lines are running through the planet, they're running through us, and they're currently being lit up because of the coronal mass ejections, which again started in 2019 in December. Now that's the one thing that they didn't want us to really realise, is that we're getting hits majorly with these auroras. So you might see all over the world now, there's places that are getting auroras that never happened before. And they're spectacular as well, some of them are really spectacular, lighting up the sky in greens and pinks and all kinds of colours. And people have never known this. People have never known this amount of aurora to be hitting us, this amount of energy. And it really is lighting us up. It really is giving many people the crown. Now with the energy, what they know is that we run like batteries. And now a lot of you probably have seen the Matrix movies, if you understand the simulation theory. And in that, Morpheus holds up a battery. And he's trying to show us that it's so simple. It's the plus, the negative, and neutral. Which again is just a trinity. It's just another symbol of the trinity. And this energy that rules this construct is the 6-9 energy, which is why Mona Lisa is coded as the 6-9. So the Mary and Michael lines are no different than Jesus and Lucifer. It is again the male and female, and that's what they're showing that comes together, which is what are now coming together here. So I'm not so sure about these alignments. I don't know about anybody else that's here right now, but people are telling me that the alignment's coming up through Glastonbury Abbey, but that doesn't align with it at all then. So I'm wondering if anybody here knows anything about that alignment in particular. Anybody wants to speak up about that alignment, or if anybody is aware of it, that's supposed to come through the Abbey and then come through the Abbey house. But if that's the case, then it doesn't align with it at all. So there's something wrong with the alignment somewhere in Glastonbury, which is why I've come here to try and see what we can find basically. So this is the most important time now when we're leading up to this alignment of the three, which is what, this is really what they're showing at Newgrange. This is what the symbol is, they're showing the magnetics.
Is that Newgrange
in Ireland?
Yeah.
I was just there a couple of weeks ago, me and Christine have gone over. So that's what they're showing at Newgrange, showing this alignment. This alignment's not happened for a long time. But now that it is, it's on the people in Britain to stand up and start making the changes, because we're the ones that are going to push it forward. We're the ones that will help other people learn and help other people see clearly. So it's a lot of responsibility to take, and not a lot of people want to step up to it right now because they're fearful of what could come from it or what people will think of them. And personally, I'm not really too bothered what people think about me, which is why I'm not stood in here telling you all this crazy stuff. So with Da Vinci's Code, and it's not just from The Last Supper, it's not just from the Mona Lisa, it's coded in all of his paintings. Salvator Mundi is one of the most important paintings that you can see that Da Vinci's got. Now the Christ figure in the Salvator Mundi is holding a celestial sphere, and on that celestial sphere are 3 dots. Now people have made all kinds of claims of what this actually is, but all they need to do is put it upside down. You can see clearly what it is he's depicted our 3 pole stars, Polaris, Thuban and Vega. So at the time of the Egyptians, when the Egyptians were at the height of their civilization, their North Star was Thuban, and of course we're now with Polaris. The next North Star will be Vega. Now that's what Da Vinci's Code is really showing. It's showing, this is why the procession and everything's coded in, it's why the sun's coded and the earth's behind it. It's because he's showing a shift, he's showing a full shift on to a new North Star. Now Vega is related to the Irish. You might know right now we've got the lovely Rishi Sunak in charge of the country. So his name is actually an anagram of Irish sun car. You know the car and bar, in Egyptian mythology. It's all based on your energy, the yin and yang energy. So they're really pushing it right now and they're trying to, well, I feel like they're trying to show people in certain ways what it is really all about and what they're really doing. I don't know how many people are really paying attention to it. But again, it's all based on the sun. Even when Rishi in charge, Rishi Sunak, even when he put him in charge, they had all the headlines about the sun setting on Liz Truss. So everything being sun-based, everything being Jesus the Sun King or Ra. There's another clue inside where we all started this journey, this lovely journey of COVID-19. Was with China. So China is important now, they're coming back up now, they're having the protests and it's all kicking off again with the Chinese. I feel like we're back to where we started kind of. So the clue with China is Qi. It's the Qi energy, and that's what they wanted to try and force out there when they were putting rainbows in people's windows and everything else. They were trying to show us that it is time, it's time for the energy rising. But what they're doing is they're speaking in code. Because they know how to read, basically, they know how to read everything around. Now we take everything at face value most of the time, we just see it how it is and we take it, that's what they mean. But that's not what anything ever means with these people. The people at the top, the elites at the top, the Babylon system that is still in control to this day, or the Roman Empire, the same thing. They're really trying to push it on us now, trying to, like I said, I feel like they're trying to wake people up maybe, or are they trying to keep people distracted of what's really going on in the background. So we'll see natural disasters are really starting to pick up. Now the last one that's just happened was the big eruption in Hawaii. Now that volcano that's just erupted in Hawaii last erupted on Leonardo da Vinci's birthday in 1984. So they've been playing this code out from the very beginning in 2019, knocks it down. Now I decode events on my Facebook page, I decode every event. Now I've got a lot of people here that have attended that are on my Facebook page, so we could actually bear witness to what I do. Now Da Vinci's Code is showing it absolutely everything that's taking place. Even the hurricanes that just blasted through America a month or two ago passed through the Mona Isle, or the Mona Passage it's known as. We had Robbie Coltrane pass away recently, who starred in the Mona Lisa movie. Or Angela Lansbury, whose mother was Mona. Now this is how they're playing it out completely. But they're trying to keep people distracted, and what they're trying to keep us distracted from are the eclipse dates that are taking place. So like I said about energy, energy is the highest at eclipse times, when the sun and the moon are coming together, and the sun and the moon create that window of light of the Vesica symbol. Now the eclipses that are the most important, the first one was in 2017, and it's the Great American Eclipses. There's a trilogy of them. Now the next one is next year on October 14th. It's a very, very important eclipse date. So the pyramid bridge that was built by me in 2000, that was opened in 2017 also. That was opened on the 14th of October in 2017, which is again the date of the eclipse for next year. But in 2020, you remember a major event that sparked outrage throughout the planet. And I mean, it was literally all over the earth that this sparked it. It was the murder of George Floyd. So you remember what I said about Pink Floyd, the name Floyd being grey. Now these again, pushing the divine lights on people. George Floyd was born on the 14th of October. So these are the little subliminals that they're putting out there. So what Da Vinci's Code is leading to is the 2024 Great American Eclipse. Now the first one took place in 2017. It took place on the 21st of August. It just happens to be the date that Vincenzo Peruggia stole the Mona Lisa from the Louvre in 1911. So there's an important number that they're showing, and it's the 1818 number. So the Notre Dame fire in 2019 starts at 18:18 p.m. The 2024 eclipse, greatest eclipse time, is 18:18 p.m. And another major event really made it very clear of what it was about was the Lebanon blast, which was huge, huge, decimated Lebanon, or Beirut, more to the point of it, which took place at 18:08:18 p.m. So 18 times 18 equals 324. Now that 324 you'll know is the 432 hertz. This is what they're always using, these frequencies. If you look at the numbers, you'll be able to see them clearly. And then with the Lebanon blast, 18 times 8 times 18, it gives us 2592. Now 25,920 years is the precession of our equinox. Now they know exactly what they're coding when they're doing this. These things are happening so precise that it's leading on to pretty much their grand finale of everything that's coming. So I can't say that it's going to be doom and gloom and disaster. I'm not here to spread fear in them. What it might be is the end of an alignment that we need to be taking advantage of now. So in the Bible we talk about the 7-year revelation period. Now that first eclipse coming in 2017 and the last one in 2024, it gives us them 7 years. And the number 7 in this construct is important. 7, the light spectrum, 7 colours of the rainbow, 7 lights of the Jewish menorah, or 7 cubes of creation, 7 circles of the flower of life. So leading us on to the 2024 eclipse. Now this is taking place in somewhere called Carbondale, Illinois. That's the centre point for this eclipse. So carbon is us, that's what we are the 666. And the centre point is creating a cross section from where it first entered in 2017. So the 2017 eclipse coming from the west, which was very strange at the time. And the next one's coming down in the opposite direction, creating an X marks the spot basically, which is again what I've said about the Christ golden, and it's actually here at the Abbey. You can go and see that yourself. It's actually carved into the ground, which is Christ, which is the 22nd letter of the Greek alphabet, which is Chi, which is China. They've been doing this recently with the Chi links. They've been doing it all again with China, trying to lock them down, and the protests are going on, just creating all the anger and all the fear and everything else, and it spreads around the world. It always does. The media loves to push it on us, don't they? Loves to tell us how to think, kind of thing. Loves to try and scare us. So the 2024 eclipse, I'm trying to stay away from with as many people as I can, because a lot of people have made the mistake of acting as if this is the end of time, it's the end of everything, and it's not really what we need to be spreading information right now. So I'm not pushing the 2024 eclipse in that way, but what I will say is to pay attention to it. It's very, very important, as will next year's eclipse date be. But all eclipse dates are important, but these particular over America are very, very important. The ones to look for and the ones to study even. All the numbers will appear, as always. They're using the exact coding. So, the next one that they've gone and hit us with, another one to spread the fear, is the Ukraine war. Now the Ukraine war gave a lot away. It gave a lot of the answers out. Because what they've done, and it is here somewhere, when I found it. So, Ukraine war, Putin went and announced his invasion on the 55th day of the year. On live TV, he announced that at 5:55 AM, on the same date that the sun set at 5:55 PM in Moscow. So this 555 is a hex code. It's one of the divine light codes. It's great divine light codes. So I'll show you the hex codes so you can. These are something to study, especially being where you are in Glastonbury. Right, I don't know where it is now because I'm not on my laptop. I don't even know what the hex codings are for them. Right, so the hex coding for 555 anyway, it's created at 33.3% red, 33.3% green, and 33.3% blue. But it's against the RGB. So what they're trying to get at with that is the sun, as always. It's always the sun. As I said, the sun set on Moscow that day at 5:55 PM. Now the approximate temperature of the sun is 5,505 degrees. So that 555 number is important to everything that we're up to right now. And what it comes down to really are the solfeggio frequencies. Frequencies and wavelength, which is how they're attacking us. Basically, a lot of people come out at the time, they were trying to go at the 5G and all that type of thing, which I really stayed away from myself, but I won't dismiss it, because it is based again, it's all about the wavelengths that they're using, the frequencies that they're hitting us with. So our solfeggio frequencies, 174 Hz, 417 Hz, 741 Hz, 285, 528, 852, 396, 639 and 963. So when you add them together, they equal 4,995. Now the radical of that number is 555, and this is why they're using it. It's because they're trying to target us with the frequencies and the wavelength. But the way they do that is with light, it's with the alignments from the sun. So the sun's alignments are key to everything, as you well know, because you live in Glastonbury and you have the most special alignments of them all at the winter solstice, which is hopefully I'm going to be here for at 8:14 AM, coming up over that time period. So that's what they're trying to get us with, is the solfeggio frequencies, and it's all based with the sun. It's the sun's alignments gives out different frequencies and different wavelengths. Now you'll notice with the sulfide geofrequencies, there's 9 of them. So they represent the light codes, or the angel numbers, the 111, 222, 333. That's what they represent. So the 369 or the 396 was a number that was very well associated with Nikola Tesla, who was obviously all about light, all about energy. He even built his Wardenclyffe Tower, his Wardenclyffe building next to the tower. He built it perfectly to be 29 metres times 29 metres. He'd done that because it equals 841, which is again Christ coding. It's the same thing that we've all done all over time. Tesla knew the frequencies better than anybody, which I think is probably why he was never funded to push his research forward. He was more shut down more than anything else. So these solfeggio frequencies we can work with. That's what creates these somatic patterns that we can see on the ceiling there. They're somatic waves, flower of life patterns. That's what the solfeggio frequencies are creating. Now Rosslyn Chapel, I don't know if any of you have been to Rosslyn Chapel at all, but if you've been fortunate enough to go, you'll notice all these somatic patterns all over the place in Rosslyn Chapel. But what they've done at Rosslyn is perfectly coded it with the apprentice's pillar. The apprentice's pillar has dragon heads along the bottom, and then it has dragon lines intertwining around the pillar. So the reason they've done that is because they know where Rosslyn Chapel sits. It sits on the Christ line. So the Christ line, what he tried to say is Christ's bloodline. Christ line is the cross section of where Mary and Michael meet. So these cross sections are all over the place. Now Mary and Michael, people seem to think it's one line, and that is Michael's line. But it's just male and female. They're just trying to give you names again. We don't really need the names to really decide what it is. It's just energy. It's your positive and your negative, and you create a neutral. So the dragon lines are some of the most important things that are taking form right now over Britain. So personally, I'm going to be heading down to Swanage soon. I'm going to try and follow these lines. I'm going to try and follow the energy and harness them as well as I can. So the solfeggio frequencies that are creating these flower of life patterns, you can see them in every church and every cathedral you walk into. You can see them in every church window. So they're well aware of what they are, well aware of what they can offer us and how they can help us or how they can target us. So I've been travelling around a lot of the churches and cathedrals, and I've been decoding them as I go. I was in Dublin a couple of weeks ago, and I happened to stop one of the deans in Dublin, and every church I go into, they have 33 candles laid out in all these churches. I stopped the dean and I said to him, Joe, that's based on Jesus. And he was like, oh, I know, you probably think it's something theological, and it's just coincidental. And I said, well, if it is coincidental, I said, it's a coincidence that it's in every single church and cathedral I go to, isn't it? That's a major one. And he was a bit brought back by me, a bit drawn back. He weren't sure how to handle me, kind of thing. So what I did want to do was go into all the frequencies and that with him, but he kind of shot off before I got the chance. So I've been travelling around and finding all these frequencies everywhere I can, and where they're actually coded is in the bells. Now these bells are finely tuned. So Rosslyn Chapel has just restored their bell chapel, and it's in absolute perfect tune. I mean, it's a tune I've never heard from one of these church bells before. I hear them all going out, and they're all so far out of tune that you can't even tell what they are. But the bells are all coded with solfeggio frequencies. You weigh a certain amount in the shape to the design to hold them frequencies. So churches, as I said before, they're built with spires, and that is for the spiral of energy. They're harnessing the energy. So the churches are just cathode and anode of the battery. That's all they are. Just another battery, and they're just harnessing from the ether. Now, why they're not wanting us to know this, who knows? Is it so beneficial to us that they don't want us to know? Or will it unlock everything for us? Will it give us all the knowledge that we could ever hope for? Who knows why they've tried to take it from us? Why they've tried to hold us down in the way they have? But it's over, isn't it, for us? It's over for them. They can't hold us back any longer because the knowledge is now coming out. It's coming out from all kinds of places. something I was hoping for in this talk today was a lot of interaction. I'm seeing people just sitting and listening. So if you do want to say anything, feel free to jump in if you want to ask any questions.
Well, I'm a computer programmer. I've been for many years.
Oh, you'll understand perfect then.
Well, the thing is that I'm not a great spiritual person.
Right, okay.
256 is a byte alignment.
Yeah.
On the hexadecimal stuff, I used to read hexadecimal dumps when I was younger.
Yeah.
I could read it as if I was reading
Yeah.
text.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot to take in here.
Oh, there's a lot.
But I
Say to me, can't work the numbers out at all. And I'm not that good at maths myself. I'm really not. What I do though is use things like this, meta numbers, and it offers us, well, I try and use it when it comes up. No? That might be because we're on the DuckDuckGo search. But the 16 and 16 anyway, that's what they're trying to get at. They're trying to get on to
So did you say meta numbers?
meta.
meta. It is
It's
meta.
what Facebook has been renamed to.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's the meta. Well, this is Mona. Mona is the metaphysical.
Yeah, no,
That's what she is. She is the metaphysical, and this is why they've done it. It's because they're trying to shape reality. So you'll see with Facebook, is they've just tried to move into VR, virtual reality.
Alternative reality.
Yeah, so they're trying to alter it, they're trying to shape reality, which is why I don't like Facebook anymore. Or anybody who's on my Facebook page will know I'm trying to escape that, because they're literally pushing out an algorithm and they're controlling what we're thinking. And
I've been that viewpoint for a long time.
yeah, exactly. So this is what they're pushing at now. So yeah, so that is the Jesuit sun symbol. Literally, it's to create. It's there to create the. Completely lost it this year, Dave. It's gone somewhere else. That's why they've done it. It's exactly what they're showing. Is the RGB coding. So the 256 number is one of the most important numbers in this construct. And the reason it is because it shows the micro to macro or macro to micro. In this case, it's micro. So we start off as 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 32 rays, 64,
Well, yeah,
128.
Your memory on a computer increases on the 256 boundaries.
Yeah.
Because that's the way numbers align
So this,
to do those things.
yeah. So what this is, it's literally creation. So that there from the 0, 1, 1, 2, that's why the Mona Lisa equals 1, 1, 2, 35 plus 77. That's what Da Vinci's shown. He's is showing from the beginning of creation, the fractal expansion of the 0 point. So when we go forward to that, we end up with the 256 number. But this is also cell division. Now the reason you can tell that the Big Bang is absolutely spot on, that they have actually got it right, is because the Big Bang happens with us, it happens at conception. So when the sperm meets the egg, it creates an all-spark. Now that is your Big Bang, it's just happening on a micro scale. So that's your Big Bang, it's happening inside female, the sacred feminine. And this is what we're really trying to code with the micro.
Is
so
that
up from the 256, we go to 512.
is that not fertilisation? It happens at
Yeah.
because all the textbooks say conception, which is later.
Well, yeah.
So they try and
my terminology is
yeah.
it's never going to be the best anyway. Terrible,
No, but they would have you believe it was conception.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
But it's earlier.
Right. Oh, right. Okay.
Fertilisation,
Yeah.
divine
so,
spark,
right. So right. Thank
which
you.
is what we all
Oh,
are.
thank you for the correction. That's cool. So the next one up from 256 is 512, and that is in cell division from our birth, when the cells are splitting from the first one goes into 2 and then to 4. At 512 cells, it's when the heart forms. So it's our heart that they're trying to target now. They're really, really trying to target the heart. The reason they're targeting the heart is because it's the most electromagnetic organ in the body. It literally pumps out. So from here to Sam, we could feel each other with the heart. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to pull at the heartstrings, because this is where the energy comes from. It's our main source of energy, the heart. So they're trying to shock us with all these events. Now, half of them that you see in the news are set up, they're completely set up events. Now, I know people won't want to believe that for a lot of them, but they are set up and they're using actors in these events. And it's because they're trying to emotionally shock the public. And if they can emotionally shock the public, then they can draw the energy out. And in this construct, that is the true currency. It's the current, it is the currency. Money doesn't mean anything to these people. It's all about energy. We're feeding the system. So if they can keep feeding the system for as long as they can, they're going to do it. So yeah, obviously we're in the heart chakra of the earth as well. So it's a perfect place for me to come and actually talk about this kind of thing. So that's the beginning of creation. Now it's not just Da Vinci that's coded that 112 number. And the reason I know it's so important is because of the Sri Yantra chakra is also coded. Yes?
Hello, great talk, and I'm really interested in your divine chi code.
Right.
What I like hearing you say they a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, who is the they? I'm
Yeah.
thinking, is the sacred knowledge comes from God, say Ra, perhaps. Then those same, if you like, God types, if you like, are
Yeah.
controlling the planet through earthly people. So the knowledge that should be for the benefit of humanity,
Yeah.
they're trying to
Freemasons for everything right now. Freemasons run the world, Freemasons are evil and this and that. I don't actually agree with it all myself. I've met some good Freemasons over time. When I was speaking to certain Freemasons, they're not all bad people. Some of them are, but you can clearly see that they've took hold of a lot, how they are in control. They call themselves masters of the universe for a reason.
It seems to me that the gods, in inverted commas, not source, the
Yeah.
invaders, they left humans in charge.
Yeah.
Okay, so they became the elite that held the sacred coding, and as you say, they're creating false flag events on these same days.
Yeah.
And we're trying to bring back and somehow use the same codings for light working.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are beginning to merge back, fight back really, as
Yeah,
far as
yeah.
to balance things up.
Yeah, most definitely, yeah.
So I think that's very interesting that it's the control of the overall planet through sacred geometry, essentially, secrets,
Yeah.
from which they've managed to do. I've said it myself.
Yeah. Well, there's a
So-
reason people point the finger at Freemasons for a reason, you see. So Freemasons, they have a little...
Yes,
little-
well, the Freemasonry is this business that was created in the age of Ra, who had his
Yeah.
original base camp was Babylon.
Yeah.
So he changed he was Marduk. Marduk was the son of Enki,
Yeah.
and Marduk's now still in control of this planet, basically through the lineages that were left.
Yeah.
They talk about the 13 Egyptian lineages. Well, this isn't a joke. They're desperate now because they can see us reacting
Yeah.
to, well, really furious that we've had the wool pulled over our eyes for so long. And it's got to this point where they've even through the Gregorian calendar changed the actual lift-off date from 2012
Yeah.
literally to 2022 now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got a 10-year shift from the 21st of December 2012 to the 22nd of December 2022.
Yeah.
So this is so close to the wire at the moment for humans to wake up literally in the next week or so. It's that tight.
Yeah. Well, this is why I said about 2024. It could be our cut-off point. That could be the point where we need to...
The other thing that I'd
No.
like to say that I'm not sure I caught it from your talk was that you were talking about the line that goes through this Abbey house straight down to the King Arthur, basically Benedict Street,
Yeah.
goes off to Stonehenge.
Right.
But as far as I know, you say that ley lines have male and female, but the actual Michael Mary line is not really so much part of this line. This is much more to Stonehenge.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Whereas the other line's coming from another alignment, which is well known for the male-female the places where the lines
Yeah.
intersect.
Cross. Yeah.
And so that might help you.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
But
for
this is like a control line coming from Stonehenge,
Yeah.
which is very important, coming straight through the Abbey itself.
Right. Yeah.
So literally, the fake gods, as were, are literally looking at us, trying to hold this whole thing down. And they made Glastonbury some sort of muddled myth, so no one really knew what the space. But we're beginning to wake up on ourselves.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
beginning to realise it.
Yeah.
So yes, that's enough from me.
No,
Thank
thank
you.
you. No, thank you for the input. Thank you very much for the input. Yeah.
I really enjoyed your test. Fantastic, unbelievable,
I think
brilliant.
it's practically 5 to 9 now. You cut me off, Dave. Are we okay? You
We're
okay
good.
for a few minutes?
I'd love to join in actually. One of the things that struck me when you were talking was that when Yogananda talked about the outwitting the stars, what I got from that was that he was basically saying in Indian astrology that we were all basically held in a numerical code
Yeah.
that actually none of us can break out of. That everything we do, I had a sequence of events recently in my life which was so spectacular in terms of the times, days, dates, moments that it occurred, and I realised I had no control over that. That wasn't something I was dialing up. That was something that was being preordained, and I realised that we're all basically in the same patterning.
Yeah.
That you can say they are doing this or they are doing that. They're only acting in the same patterning. There
Yeah.
isn't any way out for them.
Yeah.
And when Yogananda talked about outwitting the stars, what he was saying was that the yogis had worked out a way of breaking out of the patterning. That they'd got to a state of consciousness where they could actually transcend the coding. And I think that was really significant. You know, he wrote that in 1940 or whatever.
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
You know, and that guy had lived the time of the great yogis, so he understood clearly about how, you know, mankind can transcend things.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, I loved your talk. I thought it was absolutely stunning, mate. I really did. You know, and I think it's great when people can see these numbers, can see the patterning. I think it's very clear.
Yeah.
But what I think we all ought to realise is that isn't a permanence, that we can actually transcend that. I'm not saying that I can, but there is a way through it, and it's the way through it that's really, really important for humanity. Because once you transcend the coding, you can feed back a different set of agenda which will change humanity forever.
Yeah, yeah. As you said, yeah. Yes,
I
Max?
just want to say, could the coding be seen as programs and conditioning?
Yeah, I think so.
If you, you know,
I think so. It is
Well,
what you
everything-
said.
so we can break
Program.
through those.
So everything in our lives that we deal with, from an IT perspective, is done on the binary, octal, hexadecimal bits and bytes. And everything that affects our lives, and it's on those number boundaries of 256, 512, 1024, and those increments. And I'm afraid I haven't thought about this at all.
Yeah.
And-
One of the numbers you'll find there is
It's
401.
my mind's a bit blown, but I can see how everything like this is sitting. That's probably one of the reasons I'm so good at my job, is I can actually do understand the numbers. I'm not sure what they mean,
Yeah, yeah.
but I can see the boundaries, and that's maybe a start for me.
Funny enough, it's actually tech guys who my work resonates with the most, isn't it?
Anyway, sorry, that was just a thing that maybe answers your question.
Getting
about
to 9
how
o'clock, and
things
there's just
look
something.
together.
I will take a couple more questions from anyone, but I just want to talk about Freemasonry quickly on Freemasonry, because with Freemasons they have a little hidden clue with them. So they are Masonic, so they are mother and son. It's a Mars son, they're Masons, it's a mother and son. That's the most important thing to them. But the other clue with them is they are sonic, Masonic. It's the sonic speed of sound. People think with Freemasons it's all based on light, and it's not. Now sound is the bottom line of everything in this construct, because it's the vibration of Owl. So that is the key with Freemasons. That is why they know what they know. It's because they know that this construct built from the Big Bang, from fractal expansion of the 112. So the 112 is also coded in the Sri Amsha chakra, in the petals. If you look at the petals and count them, it's 8 times 10 times 10 times 14 equals 11,200. Or you can look at what's the other symbol for it? Oh, the Sphinx, the Great Sphinx in Egypt, 19 meters by 20 meters by 73 meters. You put them together and it equals 112. And they've all coded that same thing for a reason. That's showing the fractal expansion of what it all is. So I'm sorry if that's been really scattered and it's a bit all over the place for my first talk. And it's so much information to try and actually keep it into one thing. So there's a few questions over this.
I just wanted to say, a fascinating talk, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. It's not so much a question, but everything you were describing is so beautiful, you know,
Yeah.
this sacred knowledge
Yeah,
and coding. And it just seems extraordinary that the elite, well, they, whoever,
Yeah,
that have kept it to themselves, that they can use it in such an evil way.
yeah, yeah.
Because
That's
it
the
is
thing.
from a beautiful
That is the
source.
thing, yeah.
So I don't understand
And
that.
this is why people are so confused over numbers like 666 and they think it's evil,
Yeah.
but they're not.
It's because that is the divine thing coming to us,
Mm.
and they know it, and they don't let us know it.
Who don't?
So that's why they can use it.
That's what
Yeah,
I don't
you're right.
understand. Who?
I think that's because they haven't got the inner light. They have this knowledge, but they don't have the inner light of the heart.
Yeah,
You have to put the two things together,
Yeah.
join the head to the heart,
yeah.
and they haven't.
They've
So
only
for
got
them
one
it's just
side.
a head knowledge and it's a control
The
thing.
original
It's like connecting spirit to matter,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Egyptian elites are in charge,
Yeah.
and they code these things. They
Anybody else
pass
want
it
to
down
talk?
through
There's a
their-
lady over here. Can you just
Oh, yeah, I was,
through their
my
bloodlines,
question
you
is
know, just
actually,
the people that are in, sorry, children.
Did you come across the 144? So it's 12 times 12. So the prophecies said it's that the frequency or the people who wake up to the 144,000.
Yeah,
Did you come across this one?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what does
It's-
it mean?
Well, to me, I'm not so sure about what they're trying to get at with it. For me, I think it's all about air. That is the most important thing, is your breath. So the 144 is the element of air. It's the octahedron. So that is the basis of it. I think that is the absolute basis of it. So what's coming? There was a painting I wanted to get into, but we're running out of time. And it's Sandro Botticelli's Birth of Venus. Now he's depicted Venus, which is basically a Lucifer, a sacred feminine, and he's created the west wind in the picture with aura. So he's showing the solar flares, the coronal mass ejections coming into the wind, and that's what he's showing. So with the air, I think that's why it's so important, is because everything's connect through that element, basically.
So through breath, actually.
Yeah,
in a way.
through breath, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think that's the basis of it. Is the elements are so important to everything. It's, you know, the 5 points of everything. So your air, water, fire and earth, and your ether. So for me, that's the basis of that number. Obviously we put it into a lot of things, but one thing that it is your chakra petals, 144,000 chakra petals.
Yeah, this one, the
Exactly, once you reach that crown. So, but to do that, you need to control your breath through the air. So I think that's more what it's based on, is being able to raise the energy to the crown through controlling your breath. There's a question at the back then, was there?
Oh yes, it was about the Vatican having a Lucifer and a Leonardo connection
Yeah,
to do with their telescope.
yeah. Well, Lucifer, for them, you see, is they want to spread Lucifer's fear
They're
and all.
Luciferians, and we need to wake up to this fact.
But the thing is with Lucifer is Lucy. That's what it is. It's Lucy. It's the sacred feminine. And this is why the Templars worship the sacred feminine, worship Mary. It's because now is the balance is being restored. So the sacred feminine is everything to me. So one of the key things that happened to me was my arrest come on Mother's Day in 2020. That was when I was arrested. That's when lockdown come on Mother's Day. And Mona is the mother. She's the matrix, the matriarch. That's what she is. She's the mother. So that was very important to me, and I lost my own mother at that time, and I've spoke to her since after that situation. So yeah, so what did you say? Sorry, what was your question? Sorry, I've just gone off.
Well, it was to do with the Vatican's connection with.
Oh yeah, with Lucifer. For me, that is the sacred feminine.
I think it was a satellite or something.
Yeah, because he shows the same thing, that it's the time of the feminine, because women have been held back so long in everything that they've done. Women have been held back. Now you've just had little clues to like England Lionesses just winning the Euro and things like that. They're bringing them forward now. They're pushing the women forward because women are so powerful, and that's why they've kept the women held back.
England rugby team, England women's
Yeah,
rugby.
yeah, they're doing it in all
I'm
parts.
I'm a rugby man.
Yeah.
You gotta love them for that.
Yeah. So that's what they're bringing forward now. The rising, the feminine, which is a special thing because we've been out of balance for so long. They're restoring the balance in a way. So this is where the 69's coming back in, we're coming back into the balance. But the thing is with the 69 is the little key in the middle is 639, which is Tesla 369. So that's what the female is about, that's what Lucifer's about for me personally. Why they've got eyes in the sky, looking at it, why they've got the telescope on it at the Vatican, I don't know. The Vatican are just corrupt as they come, aren't they? As we all know. But they're not very good people at all. Like, but for me, it's based on that sacred feminine. It's absolutely key. So yeah.
One could say, and I don't know the answer to this, but one could say that Lucifer has had a slightly a bad rap when in fact it's not Lucifer, but it's more like a satanic energy, which is coming from a different place where you've got the Luciferic, as you're saying, is the rise of. You need that to come back into the balance in the centre.
Yeah.
Whereas Satanism is much more different. Everything is basically based on cruelty and the opposite of what we seem as good. So I think we need to clarify the difference between Lucifer and Satan and Baal, all these different energies, as you say. And Lucifer is quite often couched in Luciferic, doesn't sound too good, but maybe it's being misunderstood, and we really need to get to the bottom of what really is the problem. It's, I believe, a galactic, if not universal, takeover of an energy which is way out of the sacred coding we have on Earth, which is from somewhere else completely.
Well, Satan's roots are with the Hindus. Satan means knowledge. That's what it means. It's literally the meaning for Satan. It's knowledge. So obviously they've tried to invert us with that, and it's evil. It's an evil energy.
So it may be that be connected with the Garden of Eden and Satan and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Well, we see this at Christmas time, don't we, with the tinsel wrapped around the tree. It's just a snake, that's all it is. It's the snake coil in the tree. it was all based on the same thing, really.
The cat used to kill the snake. Logical thing.
So is there anything else that
Have you considered moving down here and then you'll be with us and we can
We'll follow you to
I would love to. I would love to. I'm going to come back in a couple of weeks for
couple
the
of weeks?
for the solstice and for the sunrise from the 25th.
You're one of the best things I've seen here, actually.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that.
I'm so sorry, I've got to
yeah.
go. I've got a lift. Thank you.
What it was is because at the time I was so out of character for me. My life up until the age of 33 it wasn't all that good. I'd never really done anything special, nothing I could be proud of or anything like that. So my family and friends were like, well, this is a bit strange. He's talking about Leonardo da Vinci, he's talking about Giza, he's saying that COVID is DV code, and I actually don't really blame him for at the time. I was erratic, and what had happened to me is I was fully awakened at the time. So the 7 seals in the Bible, the 7 chakras, that's all it is. Now them 7 seals were open fully. So I was so vocal, I was so energetic, it was sent to my head, was pulsating like crazy.
Did they think you were psychotic?
Pretty much, that's
Yeah, right,
safe to
so
say.
It
Safe to
wasn't a
say, yeah.
police arrest, it was more...
No, it was the police arrest which is what really got me, is because the only thing that I just went in, I didn't even have a solicitor with the police, I just went in and spoke to them straight down the line and told them all the information I've been looking at. And the only thing they said to me was, you need to keep your mouth shut, you're scaring people. Now, what they had reports of is I'm going to hurt myself, or it would hurt my daughter or someone in my family or anybody. So when you've got these reports that somebody's lost their mind, you'd think that they'd be evaluated in some way. There'd be some sort of evaluation, or maybe it wouldn't be allowed me and my daughter for a certain period of time. Anything, absolutely nothing. I said, shh, scaring people nothing. Be quiet. I said, you can't scare people with the truth. The truth will speak for itself. Defend itself always.
That just sounds like old-fashioned policing, that does.
Can't really be bothered, can they? Just shut up, mate. You don't want to get on with your day.
Too much paperwork.
Yeah, well at the time I was actually arrested with 6 ounces of weed as well. Because lockdown was starting, so of course, what are you going to do through lockdown? You're going to take the edge off a little bit, aren't you? So that didn't help me cause either. But I just said to the police the truth. I've got 6 ounces of weed because I'm going to get high through lockdown. And it was like, well, fair enough. I believe, yeah. I was like, so yeah, before I'd lost it basically, and that's why. This is why I don't speak to any of my family and friends or anything, now they all thought I'd lost it. And I can't blame them in some ways, because it was like, it was crazy, and as you can see the information I've just shared now, it is a bit crazy. It's a bit hard to understand, and especially with, it's a bit easier for you people to maybe take it in because you live it, you actually live it, you breathe this world, it is your life, is this.
I don't really,
Yeah.
but I'm a technical guy, but it's making sense to me.
Yeah,
That's the thing that
well, that's because it's pure, and that's the,
yeah.
that's the,
So there's nothing really to be afraid of,
absolutely nothing.
because you just have to face it as it is.
But where did this information all come to you? Because it's vast. How...
No idea. No idea. I just said to you, the middle of the century head pulsates.
So when you got the information, you obviously did some cross-checking.
Yeah.
Got
I've researched, I've dedicated my life to researching and teaching myself. When I realised at the age of 33, I realised I knew nothing. And I thought, what have I done in 33 years of my life to be in this position? The world shut down and I know nothing. And I thought, how can that happen? How am I going to protect my daughter if I don't know anything? So that's when I delved into researching, and I decided to teach myself absolutely everything I could. And I'm hungry for it, which is why I wanted the interaction, because I know that there's so many people here who have been told with genius minds, and there's so many people that I could learn from. Everybody's got something to offer, everybody's got a piece to the puzzle, everybody's lived different life and different experience.
Last question, what are you going to find in Swanage?
Swanage?
What's the swan symbolism?
The swan symbolism is the spine of Albion. So I can put, have you read the spine of Albion?
Well, we're at the end, so don't put another.
Are you sure? Yeah. Well, I could have just shown you for you.
Albion is England.
But the spine of Albion is a book that was written, and it was based on this alignment of the dragon line, basically. But it's an alignment that's only just taken form now. The reason I'm going to Swanage is the same reason I'm travelling the dragon line. So I've been travelling Britain for over a year now. I've been to Ireland, Isle of Man, Orkney, Shetland, been going absolutely everywhere. One of the last places I went to was Roma's Hill in Shetland, and it's 1,480 feet, exactly the price code course of Roma think we all know what that is based with, Corona. So I've been travelling in dragon lines for a long time now. I've been
But can
travelling
you sense,
all around Britain.
sense the line when you're there?
Yeah, I can feel the energy. Like Romans Hill, for example, I'm using that for an example, is because when I finished there and I come down from the top of the hill, I sat in the car and I started crying. And this is where the energy, this overload kind of thing, just started to flood out.
Right.
So this is why I'm on to Swanage, is because it's going to be very high energy. And I'm trying to manifest everything that I'm doing.
Great.
And that's pretty much why I'm going there, and then hopefully I'm going to follow the route up.
When you
Yes,
go
sir.
down there, and interestingly enough, my granddaughter goes to school at Langton the Travers, which is actually where the actual point was,
Yeah.
the television
Yeah.
down there, and they know all about this. So Swanage you might not find it, but if you go to Langton and Travers, you'll
Yeah.
find it. And close by at Worth and Travers, there's a pub called the Square and Compass, which is obviously a Masonic symbol. So it's
Very much so.
plot thickens.
Well, just with Langton, there's a little clue there. In Da Vinci Code movie, the main character is Robert Langton.
Oh, yeah.
Da Vinci Code has started. Da Vinci Code has started, without a doubt.
Divine Chi Code.
So we divine chi, exactly. Exactly that. Trying to put that together. So is there anybody else that likes to speak? Anybody else that likes to get up here and do this?
I do hope that you will be invited back, because